The Sounders and the Seahawks are the toast of the Seattle sports world, but if you celebrate goals and touchdowns by raising a beer at CenturyLink Field, you might not like what you're about to hear.
The problem solvers went undercover to test the alcohol content of some of the most popular brews sold at the stadium. Come Force John Humbert uncovered results that won't go down smooth.
Come on, admit it. You've hit back a few inside CenturyLink.
At least 4.
Probably 3.
6 to 8.
A lot of people like to get in here and get rowdy.
But with great brew also comes a sometimes not so great price.
So you're losing about 70, 80 bucks for a game.
Worth it?
Oh yeah, it's a blast, man.
Some of that liquid gold may be tarnished.
We're spending $9.50 on a beer and it's watered down.
That just may be true. The problem solvers decided to do a little sudsy science and go undercover in both a Seahawks and Sounders game to test the alcohol content at CenturyLink. We bought 6 different beers: Stella, Budweiser, Shock Top, Bass Pale Ale, Bud Light, and Red Hook No Equal, the official beer of the Sounders. We tried to make the test as consistent as possible. CenturyLink pulls beer from across the country with a massive array of kegs on game days. They use a single concessionaire, Delaware North Sports Service, so the problem solvers put them to the test. We used IEH Labs in Seattle. Per their strict instructions, we carefully poured each beer into its own container and kept them cool with either big packs of ice or inside refrigerators. So we've got our 3 samples. Then it was off to the lab to check and see if the beers pack the punch they should.
It's the same thing every batch. That's what you're shooting for every batch.
While the results were being tested, we reached out to an independent brewer, Hales Ales, to learn more.
It's an expensive proposition to make a really, high quality product.
Hales Phil O'Brien told us their beer isn't sold at CenturyLink. O'Brien said, quote, watering down isn't easy. Entire production lines would need to change to vary the alcohol content. O'Brien says those variances are rare.
For the most part, it's going to be pretty much the same if we're doing our job.
So what about those beers at CenturyLink? The results showed that every single beer came back below the posted alcohol content online and on the bottles. Federal law allows for 0.3% variances of ABV one way or the other. Imported up-and-comer Stella Artois tested at 4.8%, 0.2 lower than what it should be. Bud Light underwhelmed with 3.9 instead of 4.2. Local brewer Red Hook's No Equal Amber was 0.4 below where it should be. And it got worse from there. Shock Top, the Belgian wheat beer, was weak by 0.5, putting it at 4.7. Bass Pale Ale came up with more than 0.5% lower than the 5.1% advertised ABV. The king of beers shared the same fate. 0.6 below the advertised content there, the second weakest beer we tested. Fans didn't like it.
It's money, man. Greed. Same thing as everybody else. What makes the world go round? Money.
I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised.
I'm upset. I'm outraged.
So how could this happen? We asked CenturyLink for answers. They refused to give us contracts or provide details of their purchases. Instead, Anheuser-Busch called us. They own 5 of the 6 beers we tested. They wouldn't do a formal interview with us, questioned the data and testing process, and wrote in a statement that the beer at CenturyLink is the same you can, quote, purchase at bars, restaurants, convenience stores, and other retail locations. Anheuser-Busch said it strictly follows all federal rules and did its own test and, quote, found no irregularities in alcohol content. Red Hook, based in Woodinville, said that it has never been asked by a vendor to water down beer and that to do so would deceive beer drinkers and would violate standards and protocols. Our lab said that there could be a drop in alcohol content during the process of all this testing, but it would not fully explain these results. Now, the discrepancies aren't limited to Seattle. In 2008, a local paper in San Diego outed Petco Park for using stadium kegs, intentionally watered-down versions of beers in order to keep crowds from getting unruly. We asked Delaware North, Anheuser-Busch, and CenturyLink multiple times about possible use of stadium kegs, and we got few specifics. The Padres wouldn't talk either. Instead, fans are going to pack their skepticism. or just get fueled up beforehand.
Bloody Mary.
Now I guess we'll pre-funk a little more.
And maybe knock back fewer beers than normal.
IEH Lab said that there could be a subtle drop in alcohol content during the process of testing. They were clear that the results are off enough to absolutely merit more testing and investigation. John Humbert, KOMO 4 Problem Solvers.